And equity basically plays at the bottom of the pyramid, trying to provide finance or intermediate to the population hitherto unbanked. Today, equity is home to 8.2 million customers or depositors, making it the biggest bank in sub-Saharan Africa in terms of number of customers. And again, that shows the opportunity there is for growth. It's not just about numbers. Equity ranks among the top 30 companies in African stock exchanges in terms of market cap. So whether you take South Africa, Lagos, Nairobi together, and it's now the number 3 biggest company in Nairobi Stock Exchange in terms of market capitalization. And this year it has distinguished itself as the most liquid stock and the stock that has had the highest turnover both in volume and the quantity of shares traded in the Nairobi Stock Exchange. In terms of balance sheet, it's slightly over $3 billion and a market cap slightly over $1 billion. The success of equity, which has really been amplified more in terms of growth, has been driven by innovations. And the biggest innovation was on the business model. Move away from the traditional corporate banking, but use the same to do intermediation at the bottom of the pyramid. So small transactions, high volume, low margin kind of business. And that is what has really provided that growth. To be able to do that, then technology plays a very significant role, such that the bulk of the transactions are automated. And it's on that pursuit of innovation that we opted to move away from brick and mortar and use mobile phones. And basically what we've done is to put internet banking on a cell phone. And then that enables everybody who has a phone to be able to do about 54 functions that they could go to the bank. After being very successful in mobile banking, then research revealed to us that about 65% of intermediation in Africa is done by retail shops as opposed to banks. And when we asked ourselves, how can we formalize that? And after working with the Central Bank of Kenya for 6 years, we were licensed to do agency banking, appointing the shopkeeper so that they don't do that intermediation on their behalf, but they do it on behalf of the bank. And now we have 5,000 operative agents, meaning every village countrywide has a brand of equity, and somebody can originate and complete transactions at the agency level. The good thing is that that only brings variable costs. You don't have any fixed cost with such kind of infrastructure. And then you connect them using wireless mobile telephony. As a result of all that, equity has grown very fast. We have been growing tenfold every 5 years for the last 20 years. Since the beginning of the financial crisis, we have grown at a compounded growth rate of 78% for the last, and since listing in 2006, shareholders' return has grown by 900%. And consistently, the bank for the last 10 years have been able to do a return on assets of averaging 6%, and shareholders' growth of wealth in terms of profitability of 35% consistently. So again, Africa, if we are able to unlock, that is the type of growth. I think the issue of it's the next frontier. Those who are operating in Africa are unlocking enormous value. Because of the need for funding, 43% of the shareholding of equity is held either by Americans or Europeans. And that again gives the greatest opportunity For those who are in the room, you can connect with Equity on two fronts. Either you can choose to be a shareholder, easily available liquidity on Nairobi Stock Exchange, or you can also be a reader. We do quite a long-term debt to support the growth of the bank. And so far, we have nearly $600 million from the foreign market. Thank you very much.
Doing business in Africa. You can't afford to be without Africa Investor.